So I set out to post a piece of content every single day for 365 days straight. And I made it to day 257. I didn't finish, but here's the thing. I learned more from not finishing than I possibly could have if I just pushed through and completed the full 365 days. In this video, I want to share 10 key lessons learned from the Daily Nugget. Lessons that are now shaping how I'm approaching the final quarter of the year. For anyone new here, the Daily Nugget was a personal challenge that I started at the beginning of this year. The goal was simple: post one piece of content every single day for a full year. But the deeper goal was to use content creation as a form of accountability. To stay consistent in my development as a trader, to stay sharp mentally, and to share insights that help others on their journey too. So I made it to day 257 before deciding to pause. Not just the content, but my actual trading too. Between my work and personal trust and, this property development project and just life, I realized I was stretched, far too thin. I wanted to pause not because I quit, maybe because I quit, but because I wanted to reevaluate how I could continue to grow smarter. So today I'm sharing 10 lessons from that journey, the lessons that are helping me have arguably my best quarter yet. Welcome to the Modern Day Trader. On this channel, Marcy and I are documenting our journey as consistently profitable traders, but in a broader context, financial and investment professionals that are sharing their journey. We really appreciate, the support you guys have shown the channel. We're aiming to reach 1,000 subscribers before the end of this year. So if you haven't already, and if you're enjoying the content, please click that subscribe button. Let's jump straight into the lessons, starting with number 10. Consistency will expose you. Committing to something for 365 days sounds inspiring until you realize that it's fucking brutally hard. There were days I was on fire, and there were days where just turning on the camera felt like climbing some sort of mountain. But I think that's the point. Consistency reveals, your habits, your excuses, and also your limits. Discipline isn't just about feeling good. It's really about showing up honestly, even when you don't feel like it. Number 9, quantity teaches you what quality looks like. First, I was just trying to get content out, but after 100 days, you start to develop some sort of taste. You begin to notice what feels lazy, what feels inspired, and, what resonates with the audience. Quantity builds pattern recognition, trains that creative muscle. And I think that's so true for both content, but also trading as well. Number 8, growth doesn't depend on content. It really depends on the broader alignment. So creating daily content helped me grow, but it also showed me that real progress comes from, alignment with your bigger goals. So when my life and priorities started pulling in different directions, trading, development projects, work, the 9 to 5, I realized that the content itself wasn't the growth. It was more a reflection of it. So a lesson learned is that content is a tool, not really the identity. Use it to keep you accountable, but, know when to pivot. Number 7, focus is a form of self-respect. This is a big one. Focus is a form of self-respect. This year taught me that you can only pursue 1 or 2 big goals outside of having a full-time job maximum. Trying to do everything at once just spreads you out so thin. Focus isn't just discipline. It's honestly self-respect, because when you focus, you're ultimately saying, this matters enough for my full attention. Number 6, mentorship collapses time. In my first 6 months of the year, I worked harder on trading than I ever have, but I did it solo. Yes, we had, our accountability partnership with Marcy, but looking back, I realized that I could have accelerated faster with the right mentorship. Self-reliance builds resilience, but mentorship builds acceleration. Sometimes you don't need another 6 months of just grinding it out. You actually just need 6 to 12 weeks of guidance. Number 5, structure your strategy correctly. At one point, I think I tried to merge too many different styles in terms of, fundamentals, technicals, and different incoherent timeframes. And I ended up just confusing myself. I learned that as a trader, especially when you're still building or growing into consistency, you should either build from a fundamental sort of macro view, and then you keep your execution really simple from a technical sense, or you build a very technical sort of systematic approach, you respect that data. Because when you try to sort of blend, the two too early, it kind of just dilutes both. Clarity in your approach equals consistency in your results. Before, execution thrives on simplicity. I used to think better results came from more information, but the clearer and simple my plan became, the calmer my execution got. Trading, like most things, rewards clarity over complexity. And I think the more you simplify your decision making, the faster you grow. Number 3, we're getting to the good ones. Don't confuse pivoting with quitting. Now, when I paused the nuggets and stepped back from trading, it was easy to feel like I failed. And I think a part of me sat in, those emotions of feeling like a failure for some time. But what I've realized is quitting means walking away without reflection. Pivoting, on the other hand, means stepping back with clear intention. You have to know when to push through the discomfort and when the lesson is to pivot and sort of redirect your energy. That's not weakness. In a sense, I think it's ultimately more wisdom. Number 2, position before submission. Something I learned through jiu-jitsu applies so perfectly here. You can't submit your opponent unless you're in the right position to do so. I think trading and life are the same in that you can't force an outcome until you're actually in the correct position to execute. That means being grounded, stable, and prepared to take the shot. So if you're not there yet, you should work on positioning yourself correctly and then aggressively working on execution and maximizing the outcome. And number 1, failure is data. Do not let that define you, or don't let it become your identity. Now, day 257 might sound like failure, but to me it's feedback. And Marcy always says a failure is feedback, feedback is knowledge, and knowledge is power. Every video, every chart, every day taught me something new. And I think in hindsight, the goal was never perfection or just ticking off the box that I ultimately reached day 365. I think it was to become the kind of person who could show up, reflect, and refine. And that's exactly who I became. Now, the Daily Nugget wasn't just content challenge. I think it was a mirror. It showed me what consistency really feels like, what discipline actually costs, and what growth truly demands. And now I'm heading into the final quarter of the year with every lesson from those 250 days guiding me. I'm building with focus, learning faster through a different kind of mentorship, prioritizing quality over quantity in every aspect. And I'm giving myself the bandwidth to win. If there's one takeaway, I think let it be this. You don't always have to finish the race to learn the lesson. I didn't reach day 365, but in one way or another, I think I'm closer than ever to the person I was ultimately trying to become. Remember that consistency is the choice you make when you start doing the things you should be doing day in and day out.